Brace yourselves, chat, okay? Buckle in, suit up, put your parachutes on. It's time. I saw this. Oh my God, 5 million views. God damn. I saw this all over my Twitter feed.
It's the double standard. And I'm sorry, but I'm never going to vote for a person who's going to categorically put me at a disadvantage. Like, any time that somebody is providing advantages to an identity group that I don't belong to, I will never support that. Never. Why would I actively support somebody who's trying to disenfranchise me and hurt me? It's insane. So he's totally right that it's the policies, and it's also the messaging. The messaging is it's patronizing, it's rude, it's aggressive, it's awful, it's common sense, it's voting against your best interest. Yeah, people are obsessed with identity politics. Yeah, exactly. But how are you being hurt? Well, for example, like if somebody provides a benefit or a promotion.
So let me just talk about a couple of things really quickly. So in the very first 40 seconds of this clip, I was like, oh, okay. He's talking about the fact that he doesn't want to vote for Dems because Dems are less likely to give major tax cuts to like millionaires, right? They're more likely to try and tax rich people, and more Democrats tend to propose these policies, right? Whether or not they actually pass and whether or not the majority of Democrats agree is less relevant. I'm talking more so about the fact that across the board, conservatives will give tax cuts to the super wealthy, and not so across the board. Democrats will not. They're less likely to give tax cuts to the mega wealthy. So I was like, oh, okay. Because I had a boss like this once that was like, oh, God. This is a very common type of boss like that exists, especially in New York, where they don't really give a fuck anything. They don't give a shit about identity politics at all. Like, they don't care what your ethnicity is, what your race is, what your gender is, what your sexuality is. All they care about is whether or not they can exploit your labor and how to make as much money as possible. Everything else is irrelevant. This is who you should think of when you think of Trump, by the way. Trump doesn't care about any of these things. All the things that he pretends to care about, it's fake. He doesn't care. I promise you, he doesn't care about abortion. If he cares about it, he cares about women that he's had sex with getting abortions. He doesn't care about these things. I promise. I mean, even with, do you remember there was a press conference that he had, or I think it maybe was when he was still campaigning. He got on stage and said, and we're going to do something about trans people or something like that. And the crowd cheers. And he says, isn't that crazy that I can say that? And you guys all go crazy and you guys didn't even know what that was like 4 years ago. Like, he doesn't care. He just says what he needs to say so he can get people to cheer for him. That's all. Inclusive exploitation, precisely. Token, thank you for the watch stream. Turning Bus, thank you for the 3 months. So, with that in mind, initially when I saw this clip, I was like, oh, I get it. Asmongold is just saying he's not going to vote for a Democrat who's going to potentially increase taxes on the rich. I mean, the guy's a multimillionaire, right? It reminds me of my old fucking real estate boss. Literally told me and, my coworkers to our face, like, I would never vote for Bernie. Are you kidding me? He's going to tax me. I'm just going to vote Hillary. No, the Republicans are crazy. I'm just going to vote Hillary. It's like during the primaries, to be clear. And then, which that makes sense at least, right? Because like that guy is voting in his interests. My boss was a multimillionaire in New York real estate. That made sense for him to do that. At least he wasn't voting against his interests. So I figured, oh, okay. That's what this is. That's what this Asmongold clip is. He's just saying that he would never vote for Democrats that are going to increase tax cuts because that's the only thing that makes sense, right? And then imagine my surprise. He was talking about white people.
sense. It's voting against your best interest. Yeah, people are obsessed with identity politics. Yeah, exactly. But how are you being hurt? Well, for example, like if somebody provides a benefit or a promotion that's available to a group of people that I'm not a part of, that would be an opportunity that I wouldn't have access to because of my identity. Do you understand? So like the moment that that happens, I'm out. I'm totally out. I will never support somebody that will put me at a disadvantage because of immutable characteristics. Maybe you do not need that. But I think I should be treated fairly.
A multi-millionaire.
A multi-millionaire. Uh, this is the whole equality versus equity thing.
The same as everybody else is. And if somebody says that I shouldn't be treated fairly and I should be put at a disadvantage, then I'm going to vote against them. And you can say that it's not fair or whatever. Never.
A white male millionaire thinking somehow he isn't already the most advantaged class of person on the earth kills me. This is that one quote. Yeah, to someone in power, equality feels like oppression. I also like this example doesn't make any sense because you're a Twitch streamer. What job promotions are you personally being impacted by? This doesn't, it doesn't even make any sense at all. Oh my God. No, I gotta vote for my own interest as one of the largest creators on the platform. It's also like not a well thought out principle to hold. Now, I don't know. Every time I use analogies, people always get caught up in the analogy and not what the analogy explains. But hopefully this time I can do it. I believe in myself. When you say all I care about is me, 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 I don't care about what's fair, you excuse treating other people as unfairly as you want. This is the same type of reasoning behind not wanting workplace sexual harassment to have punishments. Why would I vote against something that goes against my best interest? I want to be able to do that. I don't want to get punished for that. Let's go more extreme. Well, why would I vote against owning slaves? As a slave owner, this would go against me. How about maybe as a concept, voting for a better world that treats everyone a little bit more fairly? That tries to remedy the problems in our society? As a concept, caring about other people. As a concept, empathy. Just like I don't understand how someone can be so selfish. Like this guy would enact idiocracy Brondo over water. Why would I want a policy that hurts me? I want more soda in the store. I want less water. Like, I agree with Asmon. I don't want to vote for anything that benefits a group that I am not part of, which is why I'm against accessibility, women's care, children's care, animal care, and men's care, because I'm a slug. Oh, man. Goes back to why he had a problem with SDAB saying that all slave owners should have been in a human-sized blender. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah. Christ. So let me talk about a couple of things really quickly, okay? First of all, I want to address the fact that this thing that they think is happening isn't happening, and they will struggle to come up with real examples of this happening. Outside of like one or two unbelievably niche instances where like one or two people on Twitter said, actually, I think this group sucks and should be disadvantaged. Like their example is usually like some random user on Twitter, like name, bunch of numbers. I think white people suck. They're so stinky. That's what they will source is like, see, I'm being discriminated against. But second, there are things that unite people besides groups, and you should vote for the party that does generally the most good for everyone, not the party that does a lot of terrible shit and one good thing maybe for you. Reminds me of the heat map that was going around that showed liberals care more about all the things rather than conservatives who care about themselves and immediate family. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find that one. Conservatives really like to post this, but I don't think that they understand that it makes them look bad. I've seen this reposted so many times at this point on Twitter. Heat maps indicate the highest moral allocation by ideology. Source data are provided as a source data file. Note the highest value on the heat map scale is 20 units for liberals and 12 for conservatives. Moral circle rings from inner to outer are described as follows. So basically obviously it's a heat map. The red is what people care about the most, and like the blue would be what they care about the least, right? And the inner circle is all of your immediate family. There's 16 rings. So from 1 being the center to number 16 being on the very outer edge, there is all of your immediate family, all of your extended family, all your closest friends, all your friends, including distant ones, your acquaintances, all people you've ever met, all people in your country, all people in your continent, all people on all continents, all mammals, all amphibians, reptiles, mammals, fish, and birds, all animals on Earth, including paramecia and amoeba, all animals in the universe, including alien life forms, all living things in the universe, including plants and trees, all natural things in the universe, including inert entities such as rocks, and 16, all things in existence. And basically, this shows that conservatives, by large, only really care about themselves, their family members, and their close friends. And liberals tend to care about, it seems to hover here on 12, 13, and 14, which is all animals on Earth and in the universe and all living things, including plants and trees. It's almost like, hear me out, caring about things beyond your immediate circle is good because you need those things. We have gotten to the point that we have with climate change because of conservatives who don't care about anything beyond their immediate family and friends. It's just that there's no fucking foresight for these people. So they're like, who cares? Let's burn down all the forests. Wait, why is our planet so hot? Wait, why is it snowing in Florida? I don't understand. Must be these damn liberals. How about you think about things beyond yourself for 2 seconds? And maybe as an idea, we can have good things for everyone. Maybe we can have good things. Oh, God. Oh, God. Fuck. Woke rain, yeah. But I also want to talk about the fact that, like, the person who mocked him in chat a little bit saying, well, maybe you don't need that. This is, I'm pretty sure it's a conversation. If someone has the full, or like if someone has a timestamp to where this original video comes from, please link it. But the person who said, well, what if you don't need it? They're talking about the fact that removing provisions that help marginalized people doesn't benefit you as a non-marginalized person. Like it just doesn't. Making sure that like appraisals aren't done by racist people doesn't make your property worth more. Like, it's not like when you get your property appraised, they're going to appraise you at a higher rate than they would have normally. If anything, actually the opposite. If you live next to somebody else and it's owned by a non-white couple and their house gets appraised at a very low value, when you want to sell your house, appraisals are based on a lot of factors: the home's condition, how many improvements or upgrades you've done, how many fixtures there are, but also based on how expensive the homes next to you are. You judge homes based on the price of the homes nearby. It would hurt you to appraise the homes next to you at a lower rate because racist people appraise homes at lower rates if they belong to non-white people. So it doesn't even make sense. This is what I mean when I say, like, I think Alt-Right Playbook released a new video called like Double Wrong or something. And I think this is like within the framework of double wrong, where even if your statement was true, your statement isn't true, but even if your statement was true, it doesn't prove what you think it proves. So now you're just double wrong. So you're wrong about what you're saying. And even if you were right, you'd still be wrong because that doesn't do what you want it to. Isn't that why it's called a market? It's reflective of the other options around it. Precisely. It's wrong to its very core. Exactly. Yes. And like, that's the problem, I think, with a lot of what this effectively anti-affirmative action conversation boils down to. These policies don't uplift other people at your expense. They uplift other people without impacting you at all. There are no policies in place that require workforces to have a certain percent of Black people in them. And if you think that there are, please, I would love to see the source on this. Spoiler, it doesn't exist. Affirmative action in workplaces generally refers to offering more social services to poorer communities in terms of like resume building or like interview practice or like basic training. You're not going to get picked magically because you're Black, or you're not going to get a promotion magically because you're Black. And the only reason this has been put in place in the first place is because we have studies showing that resumes with Black names tend to get hired less, even when the resume is exactly the same as someone with a white name. It is meant to counteract negatives that exist in society. Removing it doesn't benefit you. Often it's just to try and make sure you interview people of color at all, not that you hire them. Oh, dude, chat, this is my favorite type of chatter. This, you have to be sarcastic, right? This message is sarcastic, right? I have a huge amount of neighbors that are Mexican. They do all kind of illegal things every day. They fly Mexico flags on there. Dude, if you're being serious, I'm assuming you're joking, right? Oh, but it's a 2014 account. He can't be joking. Okay. Are you joking? He has to be trolling, right? Because you guys agree it's so stupid to make fun of illegal immigrants, and then you as an American can't even use the right there, which makes me think it has to be bait. Like, no one is that dumb. Sorry, no one would advertise that they're dumb, like that dumb, right? So it has to be just bait or troll. You are so hypocritical. I like to use another example, and I think someone in chat is sort of highlighting the example that I also like to use a lot. What's also strange is when people like Zach talk about DEI, they never think of the part that anyone can become disabled at any point in their life and be part of that group. Fits to not thinking ahead part, Sag. Yeah. So I try to explain privilege to people who are confused about what the word privilege means in terms of disabilities and able-bodiedness. You wouldn't necessarily consider yourself privileged in, like, for people who are able-bodied, you wouldn't necessarily think of yourself as privileged. You're like, no, I'm just an average person. I just go about my life. I'm not afforded any special privileges. I just kind of exist. But the thing is, the privilege is not having to think about whether or not a building is accessible for you, whether or not there are appropriate elevators or ramps, whether or not there is parking for disabled people, whether or not there are accommodations made in that workplace for disabled people. That's what privilege is. You don't have to think about all of these things that would make your life harder if privileged, because I am able-bodied and I've never had to think about whether or not a building is going to be accessible for me. Never. It's never even crossed my mind. That is a privilege. That's a massive privilege. And people who aren't as able-bodied don't get the same privilege in life. They have to take extra precautions. They have to check if buildings are accessible for them. And that's what people mean when they talk about privilege in other regards. You might not feel like you have privilege if you're, for example, like white or whatever. You'd be like, no, my life is just as hard as anybody else's. But that's because you don't see all of the ways where your life wouldn't be as good if you didn't hold those privileges. As a white guy who's been disabled by long COVID on the last 2 years, it's a pretty big mindfuck to have to deal with disability and contextualize my life within that. So, like, making a building accessible for people who have disabilities, yes, it opens the possibility for those people to potentially interview at those jobs. And yes, if you are less qualified than that person, you might lose your ability to get that job. The solution isn't, whoa, 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 whoa. you want to give those people the same fair shot that I have at the interview by making this suddenly accessible for them? Well, that puts me at a disadvantage. I want to be able to fight no one. I want to be the only person to get this interview and the only person to get this job. Which is objectively like an insane thing to say. That's a crazy thing to say. He didn't respond. Do you guys think he was? I think he was serious. Oh, dude. Fuck, dude. There is something like very funny about Americans making fun of like Mexicans who won't damn learn American and they can't even use the right theirs. It's just like, oh my. You're allowed to be stupid, dude, but you're not allowed to be an asshole who looks down on people and stupid. Fuck, dude. Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. I think it's also a big issue of semantics. People grew up to learn that privilege was something that you could be given, like when you're a kid and you do something well, rather than something as a baseline that other people might not have. Well, yeah, and that's why I say when I try to recontextualize it for people, I think using the example of people who are able-bodied versus people who aren't able-bodied is very good for that. Sorry, I'm reading chat. So on the topic of double wrong. Oh my God, this type of chatter. Actually, a bad analogy using disabled to worry about if they can access a building. If the building is open to the public, it's required by law to be accessible in most countries. Silence disabled Americans. An able-bodied person is speaking. Okay? The buildings are accessible. Just grow the fuck up. Let's talk about a couple things with your sentence here really quickly. One, the entire topic is about, remember where we started, chatter, remember, whether or not we should introduce policies that allow for equality and equity. Notice there how you're talking about by law, it's required to be accessible. Okay, we see where we're going with this? See where we're going? Sometimes you have to enact policies to make things more fair because otherwise they wouldn't be. Second, oh my God, you need to go talk to people who are disabled because they will tell you very quickly that most buildings are not accessible. That there's a lot of fucking buildings that are not accessible. And there's a lot of jobs that people interview for. And when because especially now that so many interviews are remote, people will interview remotely for a job and then say, hey, I'm just confirming, like I asked you in the email, that your building has like appropriate accommodations. And they'll be like, I'm sorry, what? You're disabled? Sorry, we have to go in a different direction. We found someone more qualified. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We just found someone more, they just have better merit. I read a study by Pager a while back that showed that white job applicants with a criminal record had a higher callback rate than African Americans with no criminal record. I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, we literally have research that shows that HR departments, when screening resumes, will look at the same exact resume, but when it has a Black name, they happen to just not consider that applicant. Like, it's just, it's just true. I think there was also, This one was another famous one, right? This is a bad source for it, but I can search a little bit harder and find a better source for it. Where they did studies to, okay, sorry. The classical music industry, so like violinists or violists, I don't know what the fuck else they call them. I'm not a nerd, okay? I don't play string instruments. I have sex, okay? Found pretty consistently that women were hired significantly less than men. This is not the source. I'm going to try and find a better one. And when introducing blind studies, they found that women were more likely to get called. However, there were blind spots in the blind auditions, like the fact that women wear heels and they would show up to the stage wearing, heels, and you could hear the click clack. But since blind auditions have been introduced, a significantly higher number of women have been hired to play in like orchestras or whatever. The other interesting thing though about it is like, or sorry, more specifically, what Asmongold is suggesting is I don't really care if you're better than me at this job. I don't want you to have the same opportunity that I have to apply for this job or apply for this position or this promotion, because then that ruins my chances, which is a crazy statement to have. Like that feels insane. That feels so unbelievably selfish. I don't even know how you can say that and not realize that that's not good. So anywho. Can you link the clip that you were talking about? Yes. And then I want to talk about one other thing and then we'll move on. This is the clip.
It's the double standard. And I'm sorry, but I'm never going to vote for a person who's going to categorically put me at a disadvantage. Like any time that somebody is providing advantages to an identity group that I don't belong to, I will never support that. Never. Why would I actively support somebody who's trying to disenfranchise me and hurt me? It's insane. So he's totally right that it's the policies. And it's also the messaging. The messaging is, it's patronizing, it's rude, it's aggressive, it's awful, it's common.
Which is like, where? By the way, where is this rude, patronizing messaging? I work with and in an orchestra. I can confirm the general rule is women at the very least get paid slightly less traditionally. Also, pot calling the kettle black, calling classical musicians nerds when you're sitting at your computer all day. At least they have talent. Damn, this guy doesn't fuck. Jokes, what are they? How do they work? Guys, do you think the streamer that frequently makes fun of herself, says she never goes outside, plays Heroes of the Storm for fun, do you think she would disparage another group of people jokingly or seriously? You guys are right. Woman. It was obviously serious. Duh. Fucking nice try. Nice trickery. Female. Nice trickery. Here's the Storm. I'm sorry for your loss. Yeah. The worst part is I enjoy it. I know. I'm going to show up to the pearly gates and be like, oh, okay. Advocated for the disenfranchised. Okay. Made fun of mold. Okay, good. Your cats loved you. Oh, okay. Looks good. Played Heroes of the Storm and liked it. Get the fuck out. You don't belong here. You disgust me. You are not one of my children. Be gone.
Sense it's voting against your best interest. Yeah, exactly.
What's your level? All I need to know. Okay, I'm not like a degen. I'm not one of those people that has like fucking level 2,946 or whatever. It's like level 300 or something. It's not as bad as it could be.
People are obsessed with identity politics. Yeah, exactly. But how are you being hurt? Well, for example, like if somebody provides a benefit or a promotion that's available to a group of people that I'm not a part of, that would be an opportunity that I wouldn't have access to because of my identity. Do you understand? So like the moment that that happens, I'm out. I'm totally out.
Which again, this is like, if your position is, I don't want anything that makes my life harder ever, even if it means other people have to live very, very difficult lives, you're essentially saying, well, I don't want anyone else to be considered for the positions I would like to be considered for, because it might make my life worse. I wouldn't want my workplace to be accessible to, for example, disabled people, because then they might get considered for this job over me, which would be bad for me. The world should revolve around my specific group, and unless your policies only care about my specific group, I'm out. Which is, again, a crazy thing to say. What positions is he being considered for? He's a full-time streamer. Given the history of streamers, maybe. I'm not gonna, you guys already know the jokes. I'll leave it there. I've had enough memeing too close to the sun, all right, for 1 year. Okay, this is gonna be the year I don't meme too close to the sun. Something controversy, something.
I will never support somebody that will put me at a disadvantage because of immutable characteristics. Maybe you do not need that. But I think I should be treated fairly, the same as everybody else is. And if somebody says that I shouldn't be treated fairly and I should be put at a disadvantage, then I'm going to vote against them. And you can say that it's not fair or whatever. Never.
And then, so like, besides the fact that this position is an insane position to hold, which a lot of people agree, like, oh God, the account I blocked, Monka Giga. I wonder why I blocked this person. I thought Asmongold was a gaming streamer, and it's President Trump, President Trump, President Trump. We are so back with a screenshot or a thumbnail of President Trump. His political takes are as dumb as you'd expect them to be, by the way. Like, I'm not insane for thinking this is a weird perspective to have, right? On the face of it, it makes sense. You don't want to vote against your own interest, but as a chatter points out, what if he doesn't need that advantage? What does it matter if someone who may need something gets that thing and you don't? I'm curious as to what examples he has, which is none. I mean, everyone who's on the left knows this about people on the right. You don't actually have to have any sources for your positions. You just appeal to common sense and say, isn't it obvious? It's like the chatter yesterday who came in and said, we shouldn't have illegal immigrants in our country. If they want to get in, they should go through the right process. They should get their background checks. We don't need more criminals in our country. It's just common sense. Like, use the term common sense. When shown in data that shows illegal immigrants consistently commit less crime. Undocumented immigrants consistently commit less crime than documented immigrants. Just like nothing, just no comment. Says, oh yeah, well, what about this guy who killed a lady? We're done. No. Okay. Anecdotes over data? Sure. Why not? Let's go for it. Cool. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh. Like, it's because that's all you need to do as a conservative. I can do that shit. It's so fucking easy. You use common sense. You say, isn't it obvious that...
No, he misses the point of why those things are needed in the first place, because of the privilege that he already enjoys by default makes me feel like I'm losing IQ points.
Correct. Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes. When you bring up crime, they pivot to the economy. When you bring up the economy, they pivot to crime. This after Donnie pardoned literal Nazis, attack cops. Yeah. What was I trying to say? Wait, there's a couple points. One, I really want to pull up the Jordan Klepper video on gay marriage. Like, I need you all to understand this is the exact same thing. This is the exact same thing. He lies when he says that he wants to be treated fairly. He wants to be treated at least fairly. He would very much support anything that gives him an unfair advantage.
Do you think a gay couple should have the same rights as a...
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think it's fair.
To the gay couple?
Well, no, but the regular couple, they work so hard, you know, and the gay couple, they want more.
When you say more, do you mean equal?
Yeah, they want equal in that.
And that's just too much?
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong answer. Sorry, hold on. Do you think
This is the mindset. Like, this is the same mindset. Of course, Asmongold and Asmongold fans will be like, well, that's not the same thing because, like, I don't care personally if gay people get married because that doesn't impact me because I don't plan on getting married. But not because I can't, but because I don't want to. It's different than workplaces. It's like, no, the logic is the same. The logic behind the statement is the same, which is these people want to be treated the same way that you get treated. They want to be afforded the same privileges that you get afforded, but you think that that's not right and you will not vote in favor of that because it's, quote, against your best interest to allow other people to get treated the same. The concept is the same. Functionally, the argument is the same. And the defense is the same. But it's, again, like, it's so easy to be a conservative. It's so easy. It's like, I could do this shit. Oh, can you believe these fucking wokies? They think you should be able to teach everyone different genders. And guess what? The majority of the people that are going to hear you say that are going to be people who are cis. The vast majority of people are cis. For people who are cis, I mean, even I've said it pretty explicitly. I respect and I think it is right to value other people's feelings on how they'd like to be treated and how they'd like to be, what they'd like to be referred as. I also respect the medical field that has shown time and time again that being trans is not like a fad or something, that there are actual really cool brain scans that we've done that have shown dysphoria is real, like gender dysphoria is real. There was one study showing that trans men, when told to think about different parts of their body, felt the same as cis men, except when it came to their chest. So trans men who had not had top surgery, suddenly their brain lit up really, really negatively with strong negative emotions. Because, you know, there's something there that they feel shouldn't be there that's causing them extreme dysphoria. And we have science on this. Like, no one's like, these people are not pretending. It's also like, do you really think, like, are you so delusional that you think that people would ostracize their family, would potentially lose their job, would become victims of sexual assault or even like victims of discrimination, would undergo surgical procedures, would lose potentially their wives, their husbands, their children for attention? Are you delusional? Like, Do you hear yourself? I don't know of a single cis guy. I literally, I don't know a single cis man that would choose to remove their dick for attention. That person doesn't exist. That person's not fucking real. That person's not fucking real, you moron. Do you hear yourself, you fucking idiot? How dumb are you? Jesus. Oh my God. It's such a baby brain take. It's just so baby brain. Like, you have to be someone who is unwilling to think beyond appeals to nature to think that. You just have to. I'd be sad to see him go. Yeah. Oh God. And then the other problem too is like, oh, well, maybe that would be real. I mean, who knows? Anything is possible. Technically, you could have 6 toes instead of 5, and that happens sometimes. Yeah, one quick question. Have you checked just general happiness rates and general regret rates and general suicide rates pre and post various operations and acceptance from trans people? Sorry, 6 toes on 1 foot, not 6 toes total. Like, it's just like the science is so, like, the data we have shows this so clearly. It's so obvious that no one is doing it for funsies or for attention. But being cis, you don't understand what that's like. Like, I've said it pretty explicitly. I don't understand wanting to transition, or like, I don't understand what it is like to be non-binary. Like, that is not something I think is within my realm of understanding in, like, just generally experiencing that. But I don't need to understand it. Like, I don't understand quantum mechanics or quantum physics. But like, I don't need to. I wouldn't like look at quantum physics and be like, well, I don't get it, so it must be fake. That sounds like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, you don't personally understand something, so it's obviously fake. Like, it's crazy to me. It's just so insane. It's so crazy to me. All you need to look at is like general success rate, general regret rates of like transitioning. And like, if you're feeling so brave, okay, talk to a trans person. Make one friend that's trans. And you will quickly realize, oh, no, this is real. This is very real. Like, the gender dysphoria these people feel is very, very, very real. Like, it is palpable. And if they could make it go away, they would make it go away. I mean, it's you know what it's giving? It's giving, depression isn't real. Just go outside for a walk.
Thank you for being so supportive of trans people, Deanbo. It means a lot as a trans person.
And also, just to be very clear, I am not like endorsing necessarily trans medicalism. I just think that for people who are transphobes, you have to explain, or you have to use gender dysphoria to explain that being trans is not something that's made up. You don't necessarily have to experience gender dysphoria, but I think it's the easiest method for explaining why, or explaining why conservatives should stop using the talking points that they're using. Some people have never even spoken to a trans person. Well, some people think that they've never spoken to a trans person, at least. And if you live in like the Midwest, there's a good chance probably actually you haven't. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a cis dude, but I can understand wanting to drink a magic potion that changed to the opposite. I'd chug that shit. Yeah. I would not. I would not. This is actually how I ended up reaching my centrist conservative apolitical friend about non-binary people. I was like, okay, here's a question. Would you, I said something similar to like drinking a potion that would change your gender. And they're like, yeah, I would do that. I was like, you would? And they were like, yeah, that'd be dope. I was like, Okay, so you see how you don't really care whether you're a man or a woman and you think both would be fine? That's kind of what being non-binary is. Now, imagine if you just didn't like either. Imagine if the male potion and the female potion were like equally repulsive. They were like, oh, I think I get it. Like, I don't get it, but I guess I get it. As a cis person, I find it insane when someone says transphobic things to be assuming that I'm on their side. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Oh, God. Let me close some of these tabs. One sec. I don't remember how we got on this talking point, but moving on. Let's finish this person's thread on this. Perhaps I'm giving it a disingenuous reading, but it feels like he's taking the oppressed angle out of the conservative playbook and actively voting against things that don't even adversely affect him. He's just mad that he doesn't have access to it, like a child tax credit, for example. And honestly, I feel like that's how most conservatives vote. It's not about enhancing people's lives. It's about making sure those lower than you stay there and letting everyone wallow in their own misery. Yeah. Last little comment here. I think it's funny how Asman will agree with the video he's watching, then proceed to interpret their point in the most abhorrent way possible. Hassan was saying their policies shouldn't have catered to conservatives so hard, you moron. Okay, Aladdin, sorry, I was still yapping, but I went back to watch the video uploaded to his channel just to make sure I didn't misinterpret Asman or anything. And funnily enough, he doubled down on it later, yet still fails to provide an example of this actually happening. Oh, God.
But anyway, I think that the big problem is that young guys get demonized.
Sorry, really quickly. I want to respond one last thing before we move on. How would you address the argument I've heard? They claim it's a mental illness and they're acting transphobic because they're trying to prevent further harm in society. Heavy quote. Well, first off, I would say that's not what mental illness is. That's not a mental illness. Experiencing gender dysphoria can stem... That can be like a mental illness that you experience that stems from not transitioning, from being trans and not being able to access trans-friendly care, in the same way that, like, being super depressed is mental illness, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're depressed and absolutely have clinical depression that needs SSRIs. It might be like, oh, you work a shit job at minimum wage. Your family around you sucks. Your friends around you suck. You have no walkable neighborhoods. You have to deal with expensive healthcare costs. God forbid you have chronic illness of any kind. And you can solve the things that are causing the mental illness. It doesn't mean that the mental illness in and of itself is like the end all be all, right? So yeah.
By the left, and they get demonized by the left for doing things that young guys like doing, like being abrasive, saying obnoxious things.
Sorry, shit life syndrome. Correct. Yes.
Being aggressive. And also, I think the main issue, I think, for a lot of guys, and I don't know about you guys, right? But it's like what I was saying before about the identity politics. The moment that I see advantages that are given to, like, women explicitly, I'm immediately never going to support that, because I'm not a woman and I don't want to see somebody be given advantages based off of their identity. Straight up, that's simple.
But, like, this isn't happening. And they won't find examples of this. In fact, the only thing that exists are examples of the opposite. It could be happening, okay, Kona. After whites only job posting, tech staffing firm settles with DOJ. A job posting that included race and citizenship requirements and the stipulation don't share with candidates has resulted in a settlement agreement between Virginia-based IT staffing firm Arthur Grant Technologies and the U.S. government. Under the arrangement, Arthur Grant will pay a civil penalty of $7,500 along with $31,000, a total of $31,000 to 31 people who complained about the posting. Nice couple pennies for blatant racism. Excellent, good. Nice little slap on the wrist. The company, which is minority owned and a federal contractor, designated a disadvantaged business, will also be monitored to ensure compliance with anti-discrimination laws. It is shameful that in the 21st century we continue to see employers using whites only and only U.S.-born job postings to lock out otherwise eligible candidates of color, said Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division, which announced the agreements. What did the job posting say? It says here, job posting sparked outrage and accusations of discrimination when it was circulated online last year. Does this show a picture of it, potentially? Yes. Here it is. Don't share with candidates. No, only U.S.-born citizens, white, who are within 60 miles from Dallas, Texas. Don't share with candidates. It says here, this job posting was neither authorized nor posted by Arthur Grant or its employees. A former employee took an existing posting and added discriminatory language and then reposted it through his own account. Wait, but this doesn't show this. Considering that the Assistant Attorney General made this statement and that they eventually had to pay out a civil fee, I don't think that this is right. Huh? Why is this community note wrong? I'm sorry. I trust NPR and the fact that they reported on them paying this civil penalty more than a community note. Okay, this must be just Elon's Nazi Twitter. All right. Moving on. The words in brackets are not paraphrases. They appear in brackets in the posting. Technology was seeking someone as Salesforce business analyst and insurance claims position. Ah, good old insurance. No wonder the pay is so high. Arthur Grant Technology denies any guilt or wrongdoing in relation to the discriminatory job posting. Okay, good. It was an unauthorized posting, he added. Oh, Lord. Yeah, and companies are still liable for what their employees do on some level. Not fully. But, yeah. Moving on.
And so if there's a group of people that are doing that, I will always go against them. Why would I support somebody who's actively trying to make things worse for me? It's so simple. It's diminishing to women too. Yeah, I think in a lot of cases it is. You keep saying he's right, but examples are stuff that he would not agree with. He's not completely on board with the anti-white stuff that you're talking about. Well, he might not agree with it. No. I think that he might not think that it's valid. I think that Hassan understands that what I'm saying is accurate. He just doesn't agree with the conclusion. That's two very different things.
Amazing.
It's very easy to identify, yes, this is why people are mad, without going and saying that you agree with why they're mad. He doesn't understand. He doesn't agree. Yeah, exactly. It's simple.
Incredible. Insane. Wonderful. Really good stuff going on here. All right. Okay. He's right that there's truth to the left alienating younger guys, or rather losing them to the right-wing talking heads. But the answer isn't to feed into their delusions that they're being oppressed, because when you feed that mindset, everyone suffers.
But anyway,
the only examples he provides, by the way, are the preferential treatment Twitch gives to female streamers or the whole cracker thing. But that's not representative of the political candidates you're voting for or the broader real world. I get it. That's your bubble, but come on, man. Also, like, what preferential treatment is Twitch even giving to its female streamers? This is also a common talking point that, like, confuses the shit out of me. What, like, sometimes, like, what, during Women's History Month or something, there's a carousel with some female streamers in it? Is that the preferential treatment? The crazy thing, too, about this is, like, lots of large creators, lots of large male creators have already talked about this as well. The benefit from being like a female streamer, okay, well, I don't have the Mizkif clip on me, but if someone else has it on them, like, you are welcome to link it. Basically, the TLDR on it is that there's a lot of, okay, so let's do this. Let's say this is 0 viewers, and let's say this is 100,000 viewers. Whoa, 100K. This is what the male chart looks like. Oh. Where there's a lot of male streamers that are at like near 0 viewers, and it's really hard to break through because I would argue a couple of things, but basically oversaturation. Whereas for female streamers, it's a little bit closer to like this, where there's a lot less female streamers that are sitting at 0 or near 0. There's a good amount that are able to hit like, I would say 500. I mean, there's also no streamers that get 100,000. So like, honestly, this chart is already wrong. Let me put 500. This is 500 viewers, not 100,000. 500. I guess that makes sense, obviously. It's more like this. Maybe closer to like this. Number of streamers. Male, female. Or rather, men, women. We'll put that. Okay, sorry. Is it this clip?
I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And if you don't think that's the truth, you're wrong. It is way easier for women to get to that 1 to 200 to 300 viewers. It is way easier. Women have it so much easier for men, and it's just the truth. But women have a glass ceiling, and that is just the truth. Women have a glass ceiling, and it is almost impossible to get through. Men have an infinite ceiling. They are not hard capped. Women are hard capped usually, and it is a ceiling at around 600 viewers to 1,000 viewers. It is just the truth. But because to get to that massive stars, I'm sorry, it's just the truth.
And like, this was from how many years ago? This is from a lot of years. This is like 3 years ago. Since then, we have had like COVID spikes, I would say, that have really kind of changed the industry a little bit. But this is 100% true. This is 100% true. Where like, I would argue that the reason that there's more female streamers sitting at a few hundred viewers over male streamers is because I think that there's a couple of factors at play. One, I would say a big part of the people who sit at lower viewer percentages or ranks or whatever. Let's pretend like this is bronze, this is silver, this is I don't know, gold. Let's pretend like this is a ranking system. The reason I think a lot of people sit in low elo is because they don't analyze their gameplay and they sort of exist or like create content very passively. They autopilot and assume that the autopilot is good enough. That I can just do whatever, everybody else just does whatever, and I can just do that and it's fine and it works. I think Are there more 100K streamers than zero? All right, dude. Okay, listen, fine. Here, is this better for you? Semantics Andy over here. I think that, sorry, not I think. It has been proven statistically in plenty of studies that women generally have a better sense of, they have better social skills because women in general are trained from a younger age to be more cognizant of how people around them feel. That we train women more than, or sorry, we train girls more than boys to be more cognizant of other people's feelings. And we often downplay how women and girls feel in lieu of men. And this is pretty widely studied. Like, this is not a controversial statement at all. And there's like probably fucking hundreds of studies at this point that back this up. And I would argue that that is what causes this to happen more. That's what causes women to experience slightly better viewership starting, which is the autopilot is to consider how other people feel, aka like trying to read chat, trying to respond. Not that male streamers don't do this. I'm just trying to highlight a greater societal problem. I would guess it's that more than anything else. Just like how your environment has already trained you to try and perform for other people makes you a better performer, which would make you theoretically a better streamer. But I think that like streaming and streamers in general rely heavily on relatability. And I think because Twitch's audience and its demographic is majority male, men are going to relate more with male streamers. So they're going to watch male streamers more often. And it's not necessarily malicious, but it's just, oh, this male streamer talking about this thing I like, I think I will relate to them more. And this is all subconscious. Obviously ignoring timing and luck, because those are things you can't control. We're talking about things that are within our control. Because things that you can't control, it's like, yeah, and whether or not the sun sets that day, or whether or not, like, you get $1 million and can buy the best equipment, whether or not you get to become friends with, you know what I mean? It's tough. Anyways, sorry, I remember how I got onto this topic in the first place. Preferential treatment towards female streamers. What is this about, like, hot tub metas? Because it can't be about like viewership, right? There's no preferential treatment really happening there. And the preferential treatment doesn't even do anything like the carousels. So what, hot tub meta, like what exactly is happening? It's about how women can wear bikinis and not get banned, but men can wear bikinis and not get banned. Like, men can wear Speedos at the beach and not get banned. What's the problem? How is that not fair? Oh, I'm just saying I'm speaking about what he thinks. Oh, sorry. My apologies. I was riled up from the last chatter. My bad. Sorry. Someone gift this nice young man or woman or NB, please give them a sub. I've been carefully. He's a hero. Yeah, why do guys argue about women wearing bikinis? Because it's not fair. They're taking advantage of me. It's just so stupid. It's just dumb. Like, don't get me wrong, if there were men wearing Speedos, obviously no balls showing, okay? Full coverage on it, okay? Full coverage. Because I know the times where there hasn't been full coverage for female streamers, most notably, I think, was Amaranth, where her bikini slipped. She got banned. So, like, no balls, all right? Outlines only. If there's a streamer that was, like, Speedoing it up and got banned, okay, I understand that. That would be unfair. That would be preferential treatment. But the preferential treatment is just like women do this thing and don't get banned, and men can do it too, but they just don't want to do it. It's like, what's the... What do you want me to do about this? That's stupid. That's dumb. I don't care. How deep of a print? How tight? Asking for a friend.